بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear learners, we meet today for the third lecture on our module, How to Paraphrase. I hope that you had a look at the task I have given you. It was some sort of a test to see how much you have understood the strategies of paraphrasing. We will discuss that. We will discuss your answers in the coming lecture next week, inshallah. So today, as I said, the whole lecture is going to be on plagiarism, which is something very important and a great issue in the field of research. So we will start by learning what is plagiarism, why people do it. Then we will look at consequences of plagiarism on the individual level and on the level of society, types of plagiarism, and we will give examples on the different types. Next, we are going to see what Turnitin calls the plagiarism spectrum, which means types of spectrum, types, that is to say. So we will look again at plagiarism types in a detailed manner. The following point would be avoiding plagiarism, which is something that we have to learn as researchers and as students, and actually this is the main goal of the whole module. Now, plagiarism, do's and don'ts, some things that you have to have in mind when you write research so that your writing will be original and you will not commit plagiarism, and things that you shouldn't do so that you will not fall into plagiarism. Next point would be plagiarism detectors tools, which are very helpful for learners in order to check their work before submitting it to professors. So these detectors are used by both students and professors at the same time. Professors when they correct and assess students' works. And finally, we will have a quick look at the different formatting styles, because when we discuss paraphrasing, we have to mention formatting. This is something very technical, so I'll be referring to certain resources that will be helpful for you to look at. I'll start with this joke. Many learners asked me to speak in Arabic sometimes so that they would follow in a better manner. So I'll try to do that today, though it's a little bit confusing for me to shift from English to Arabic and from Arabic to English. نبدأ بهالنكتة. سجينين زي ما انتم شايفين في السجن، ويسألوا بعض. الأول بيتكلم اللي على اليسار وبيقول له Grand Theft Auto، جريمته يعني، and you plagiarism. So it's some sort of a joke. I hope it was funny for you. Basic rule in research is that you can depend and you have to depend on research done in your area, previous detail done, research done in your area, so you can borrow from the works of others in your own work. This is something legitimate. This is something that you need to do, because a researcher does not just start research out of the blue. A researcher depends on the works of others. فنرى هنا عملية البحث على أنها عملية تكاملية. كل باحث جديد يأتي ليبني على ما وصل إليه الباحثون من قبله. لكن we need to know the definition of the word borrow. How can we borrow and what can we borrow? there are certain regulations. هناك تنظيم وهناك بعض الأمور التي يجب أن نراعيها عندما نستعين بالبحوث السابقة في مجالنا. Before I start, I would like to pinpoint some terms that I'll be using, and I hope they are clear for everybody, because in order to understand and to follow up what is plagiarism and how to avoid it, you need to follow up with me when I use certain terms. Some of them are well-known terms, and some I will have a specific use of them in this presentation. So plagiarism, we will assign the coming slides to explain what is plagiarism. When I say work, other people's work, I mean the term papers, the photographs, the songs, the charts, the graphs, the diagrams, the images that are there available for researchers to use and, of course, to document in their research. When I use the word author or writer, I mean the author or the writer of the original work or the reference you are using. You are a writer too. I know when you write research, you are a writer, but in order to make things clear when I talk in this lecture, I would like to differentiate between the writer of the original work or of the reference you are using and you. And I'm going to refer to you as the researcher in this case. Okay? Just in order to differentiate between the two in the course of the explanation of this lecture. When I say we need to cite or to document, that means we need to acknowledge the reference we have used in our research. So that is citing is acknowledging the reference by mentioning it. And there is a special way of citing the reference in research. We will be looking at that during this presentation, and especially in the last point, which is the formatting. So from cite to cite and to document, I will be also using the noun form, citation and documentation. What is plagiarism? I've tried to use a lot of images in the presentation, and images that show plagiarism as repulsive, so that by the end of the presentation, you do get the sense of plagiarism as some sort of negative thing, some sort of a thing and an act that should be avoided. So if we look at the word plagiarism, which is difficult to pronounce for many young learners, it comes from the Latin word plagiaris, meaning kidnapper. So the act of plagiarism is the act of kidnapping or of stealing something that doesn't belong to you. So plagiarism is stealing, and the person who commits plagiarism is looked at as a thief. Wow, that's so ugly, isn't it? Again, some repulsive images of plagiarism. Plagiarism is the act of stealing someone else's work and attempting to pass it off as your own. So it's not only stealing, but it's cheating as well. This can apply to anything from term papers to photographs to songs, even ideas. This is important. Some people think that plagiarism is plagiarism only takes place when you take from printed matter or from books and articles. Actually, it expands to anything that other people have achieved. So isn't that repulsive? When you take someone else's work and claim it is your own, then you are stealing, you are cheating, and you are lying too, aren't you? These are three negative things that we should all avoid. These are three moral issues that we should be aware of. Stealing, cheating, and lying are three things that we teach our young children to avoid since a very early age, because they are really despicable, they are repulsive, they have very bad consequences.